Welcome to Cosmic Diaries. This is Priya Kalde, your astrologer, and welcome to a liberating and magical Aquarius full moon. This Aquarius full moon takes place on the 9th of August at 3:54 a.m. Eastern Time in New York. And at the time of this lunation, Mars is separating from an opposition to Saturn, a trine to Uranus, and approaching an opposition to Neptune, and then will trine Pluto in the days that follow. So this full moon is energy packed and the energy is shifting powerfully. So move slowly as you move through the lunation. And over the next couple of weeks, expect a release because the full moon will mark the end of a chapter. And the next new moon will be in Virgo on the 23rd of August. And Virgo is a sign of healing and growth. So over the next couple of weeks, we're moving through a process of releasing the past so we can create space and clear space for renewal. And that's the broad theme, but we're going to dive into the astrology of this full moon in this video. And as I mentioned, this is a really passionate, liberating full moon. So we're moving over a threshold into a whole new era and whole new chapter of our lives, collectively as well as individually. And with the Leo Aquarius axis, there's a need now for balance between ourselves and the needs of others in our life, as well as our own needs for acceptance and to feel like we're part of something greater than ourselves. So we're going to get into the aspects for this full moon, and the aspects at the full moon will be seeding the energy for the next 2 weeks. And also significantly, this lunation is the next full moon will be an eclipse in Pisces, and that one takes place on the 7th of September. So, which makes this lunation important, another significant one. But with that said, before I begin, if you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified of new videos and you'll be helping me getting the word out. So thank you for your support. But with that, let's just begin. Let's start with the Leo Aquarius axis and the full moon itself, and then we'll get into the chart. But a full moon will mark the end of a cycle and will, as I mentioned, seed the energy for the next 2 weeks. So what's unfolding at the time of this lunation, now over the next couple of weeks, this energy is in effect. Aquarius is the sign that's ruled by Saturn traditionally, and its modern ruler is Uranus. And both Saturn and Uranus are now in new signs. Saturn is currently retrograde in Aries, and Uranus is in Gemini. And Mars, the ruler of Aries, is now just past an opposition to Saturn and a trine to Uranus. So it's almost like with this Aquarius full moon, Aquarius is the sign that speaks of freedom, of liberation, of revolution. It breaks boundaries. It's a very unique sign, and it's a very, well, revolutionary sign, but yeah, it draws us out of our comfort zone. It's a sign that speaks of technology and artificial intelligence and social media and groups, the collective itself, the collective consciousness itself. So these themes are in focus. And Aquarius also asks for, on a personal level, it asks for, it speaks of freedom, but what is that freedom that we need? It's the freedom we need to really be ourselves and express ourselves, and then the acceptance that we need. And ultimately, Aquarius teaches lessons of self-acceptance. So with this full moon in Aquarius now, there is a sense, especially with Mars at the time of this lunation, Mars is past an opposition to Saturn and will be approaching an opposition to Neptune just on either side of this lunation. So there's a sense that, we've moved over a threshold. The past is behind us. We're closing the door on the past. and we're stepping over a threshold into a new chapter of our lives, wherever you have Aquarius in your chart. So there's very much the sense of, over the next 2 weeks, we're in a process of releasing the past as we sift through what we're keeping now and nurturing for the future, and this foundations that we're strengthening for our future. So with that Mars opposite Saturn, we're very much, as we realign with our goals and our priorities and who we are today, most importantly, this is a leveling up. We're leveling up into a new, again, chapter of our lives and a new level of experience. So there is that need for total alignment. And Aquarius also teaches lessons of detachment. It's a fixed air sign. So think of the air. It's all around us and we need it to breathe. But we can't grasp the air. We just have to, allow it to surround us. We've also seen through COVID how, the air we breathe connects all of us. And Aquarius speaks of that connection. And so it is even with the collective consciousness. Sometimes it takes time for a new idea to take seed. But once there's acceptance for it, slowly the whole collective accepts a new way of thinking and being. Now, Aquarius is a sign opposite the sun, opposite Leo. And this full moon is opposite the sun in Leo at the moment. So with the sun in Leo, we're all being called to be as authentic. Leo is a sign that speaks of the individual. It's in astrology, Leo rules the heart. It also rules the ego. And it's a very creative sign. It's a very passionate sign, sexual sign, romantic sign. And this energy right now, Leo speaks of that energy of true love, and Aquarius speaks of this energy of friendship. And there's a need for balance now, as we, definitely themes of love and friendship are in focus, as well as our creativity and our, ability to show up authentically so we can share our art and heart. And yes, with the moon and full moon in Aquarius, there's this need for validation and acceptance that we're feeling. But at the same time, it begins with us giving ourselves that self-acceptance and just being willing to share ourselves as authentically as possible, without the ego, without the mask, and just from the heart. And then trust that you'll automatically attract and gravitate towards your tribe, because like attracts like. So in essence, this Aquarius full moon is liberating us to be ourselves, and as we are today, show up for our lives as we are today. With that Mars opposite Saturn, past in opposition with Saturn over the next 2 weeks, there's also a need now to, as this full moon aligns, there will be reality checks. And we're in a process of reevaluating again our goals and our boundaries and our limits and the walls that we're taking down, so that we can allow in greater love and support and connection into our world. And this will take trust, but recognize trust is something that's built with time. So especially at the time of this lunation, Mercury is still also retrograde and about to station direct. Mercury stations direct on the 10th of August. And so at the time of the lunation, Mercury is very much in its storm phase. And this is a time when information tends to surface. So over the next couple of days, as Mercury stations direct on the 10th, I'll leave the dates below. We are learning information now that's bringing a turnaround in things. And, of course, this is also in the legacy of this full moon. So there will be dramatic revelations perhaps coming to the surface. And we're learning important information that changes things. and changes how we see things. But trust a process, because, and if anything falls away, really the only thing we have to lose now are our illusions, because we're getting to the heart of a matter and we're learning the truth about situations and about our own heart and our own desires and who we are. And as we do, we can make conscious choices moving ahead. So whatever surfaces now as the full moon aligns, and in the days that follow with Mercury stationing direct, as revelations come through, if you're happy with the energy, because there's a lot to hope for here. In the days that follow, Venus is also making a conjunction to Jupiter on the 12th of August, late on the 11th, late night 11th, early, overnight hours 12th. And that Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics in astrology. So at best, this is an abundance of the good things in life and a real recognition of our blessings and how much we have to be grateful for and how much there is to hope for, and an understanding of the true depth in our connections and the true depth of the love and support that's present in our world, emotionally, financially, on all levels. There's everything for us to hope for now. But at the same time, if at all, as this full moon aligns, anything appears to be falling apart, avoid reacting. Non-reaction really is the key, because the energy is extremely magical, and we are Leo energy with the sun in Leo. Leo really speaks, is very creative energy. It's ruled by this, Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is the source of life and light on earth. And in astrology, again, the sun rules our primary consciousness. So it's a matter of conscious focus and what you're envisioning. It's about being creative. And if you don't like what's being revealed to you at the time of this full moon, first of all, you have every reason to feel proud of who you are and how far you've come. And recognize that, especially with Mars up passing in opposition to Saturn, there may be revelations coming through where we're not feeling so proud of ourselves, or you know, we've learned lessons where we wish we could have done things differently. But recognize you couldn't have learned, perhaps that was the only way you could have learned a lesson. So there's a need for allowing for space and grace for yourself and for others as we move through this over this threshold and into this new chapter of our lives. We live, we learn, we grow. And again, the more love and self-love and self-acceptance we can offer ourselves, we can extend that out to others in our world. That doesn't mean we excuse bad behavior, but it's and boundaries are healthy. And it's what's unfolding now, there's an element of divine timing that's in play. So even if something is taking a little longer to fully manifest into your world, understand this is a necessary process that's unfolding now. And that said, with Mars opposite Saturn, we're really past a threshold and in a new chapter. So it's a matter of even looking at the world differently. And coming back to Leo, Leo is the sign that speaks of the present, the eternal here and now. So if you don't like what's created in your life, then we have a chance to now change it and let go of the past and close the door on, close the door on old cycles and an old chapter, and clear space as we restructure and strengthen foundations on what's important to us today and what's in alignment with who we are today. So that's a very individual process that only that each one of us has to do in terms of self-reflection of our lives, wherever this Leo Aquarius axis is playing out. And it's not about being selfish, right? Because Aquarius, if anything, reminds us that none of us is an island. We're connected to everything and everyone in the universe. we are a part of that greater whole. And so we can't just cut off from people and situations. But there's also, again, it comes back to that Mars opposite Saturn. It's how we balance our relationships and how we evolve and grow together that matters. So you don't need to close the door on anything that you don't want to close the door on. It's just a matter of how you show up moving forward. And so we can't change anyone else, but as we evolve and the more we can find the courage to be ourselves and lead with the heart, then those doors can open almost magically for us in the universe. So, and we can draw in to our worlds what we need. And that's just how this energy is playing out, because even a day after the lunation, Mars will trine Pluto. So there's very much the sense that after we've moved over the threshold and, we've seen through our illusion. So even if there's any sense of, again, something appearing to fall apart, be patient and avoid reacting. I'm not saying anything's falling apart, but it just depends on how you're experiencing it. At best, you're feeling empowered to close the door on an old chapter so you can, you're looking at what now you've outgrown and what's outlived its purpose, and now what needs to be done as you move ahead and the choices that you're making moving ahead, given where you're at today. So, at best, this is a very conscious process that's happening. Doesn't mean it's easy, but we are entering new territory now, one way or the other. So, yeah, even if something appears to be not going exactly as planned, leave space for magic, because there is real magic in the air with Mars opposite Neptune, honestly. And this full moon in Aquarius opposite the sun in Leo, this energy is extremely creative and magical and musical and passionate and romantic and playful. It's just that because Mars is just opposed Saturn, we've had to process some, some really tough lessons, perhaps, or really get aligned with something. So it may feel almost a little strange to experience a sense of freedom where, you know, previously we felt caged. So it's like, the caged animal who's now out of the cage but doesn't even realize it. There's something like that that's in play as well. And as that Mercury station's direct, there's a sense that, oh, suddenly we start to see things in a different light. So, and then Venus will conjunct Jupiter, showing us how much there is to hope for and how much love and support there is in our world. And but it begins with us being authentic and at least acknowledging our own desires. Otherwise, I mean, you can have what you want, but you have to acknowledge it to yourself first. And by doing that, you're acknowledging it to the universe and inviting it into your world. So with this, with the, again, this is very creative energy, and that does not, of course, it can translate into our creative projects and things we do, but and in terms of love and romance and friendship, and it can be extremely fun energy over the next couple of weeks where we're really connecting with people on a heart to heart level, and exploring new connections and making new connections and exploring the depth in our connections. So the next couple of weeks can be a really exciting time and a fun time. This energy does feel very fun, but I am recording this as Mars opposes Saturn. So I'm also very aware of the heaviness that we're now leaving behind. So we can just be super honest with ourselves moving forward. And that, again, does not mean that you can't have what you want, but we are reevaluating our limits. And but recognize that there's you're just one part of the equation. You're plugged into this greater whole. And that's exactly what this sun opposite the full moon in Aquarius is teaching us, is to, how do we dance with the universe, and how do we show up with our heart, and again with that, with detachment in terms of how we will be received, and trusting that if we're showing up with love, then those who can see us and appreciate us will, we will connect with on that heart level. So, but that requires courage and vulnerability to be able to actually show up authentically, because rejection can be painful. So it starts with, again, there's that need for self-acceptance, and knowing that, yeah, we will make mistakes at times, but we'll learn. At best, we can learn from them. And if there's anything now that's surfacing, that circling back to my earlier thought, that you're not, you feel like there's room for improvement, then there's room for improvement. It's about us taking responsibility for the reality that we've already created. And then if there's something new that we want, or that we're trying to create, then looking at what now needs to be released and let go, whether it's patterns or actual stuff, or whether it's, depending on where this Aquarius full moon is playing out. I keep saying Leo full moon and I don't know why, but it's Aquarius full moon. And yeah, there is a lot to hope for. And the days that follow will bring a sorting through, a sifting through, where we're coming to realizations, we're seeing what the truth is and what reality is, and then which is allowing us to make choices. And we're seeing where, what are just empty, shiny distractions, and what really holds substance and water and has depth and is real, and what matters to us. So there's very much this process of realignment that's in process, and our relationships are certainly heating up and leveling up. And the more, again, authentic we can be and true we can be to ourselves, we can show up honestly in our connections and deepen the bonds that are heart bonds, and allow others the space to evolve and grow as well, rather than having expectations, because Aquarius again asks for that detachment. So let go of expectations now of others, and just focus on what you're putting into a situation. And if you're leading from the heart, then you can trust that that's what will be reflected back to you. And if you don't like what's being reflected, then it's a chance for self-reflection. And if that your intentions are pure, then there's a need for that detachment, for not needing validation from someone else for your existence and how you feel. So really, this balance ultimately is something that we're learning to find within ourselves. And you know it's our ability to step forward authentically, but also with humility, and step out of the ego and acknowledge if at all we've been mistaken, and if where we've been mistaken, then we can make those changes moving ahead. And one thing with this full moon and Mars opposite Neptune, when Mars is opposite Neptune, there can be a sense of like a hall of mirrors. There could be a lot of smoke and mirrors right now. So if something feels too good to be true, move slowly. And if conversely, if something feels like a nightmare, also move slowly. Again, I would encourage non-reaction. Mercury is still retrograde, Mars is opposite Neptune, so we're not seeing everything clearly yet. And there's a lot that's yet being revealed. That said, there are, deep insights as well coming through, and we're at least, this is a chance to get really clear with ourselves. And then we can make choices and create life more consciously. And the Leo energy is very spontaneous, and Aquarius can be very serendipitous energy. So it's like the more you can acknowledge your desires and have that vision right now, then let it go and remain detached, then you'll, when the time arises and when your opportunity arises, you can be spontaneous and seize the opportunity. It's like cosmic ordering. You just have that vision, and then you let it go into the universe. And as long as you're following your heart, you'll find yourself in the right place at the right moment, speaking to the right people with the right ideas, with those right connections just happening. So it can be that magical with, doors opening almost effortlessly. But it comes back to that, having that absolute alignment with ourselves and being in touch with our hearts, and then allowing it to guide us and being open to the magic of the universe. So let me see what else I wanted to say, because that just kind of came through pretty quickly. But let me look at this chart and see if there's anything major that I want to talk about and want to miss, that I haven't missed out. My God, yes. So the day on the 11th, Mercury stations direct. I mean, I'll leave exact dates for these aspects below, but the full moon's on the 9th. Later that day, Mars opposes Neptune. Then on the next day, on the 10th, Mars trines Pluto. 11th, Mercury stations direct. Saturn sextiles Uranus. And on the 12th, Venus conjuncts Jupiter. So yeah, Saturn sextile Uranus just after Mercury stationing direct on the 11th. That's major. That's major because Saturn is, these are outer planets, and Saturn and Uranus are both rulers of Aquarius, and this is the Aquarius full moon. So it's like the gates are opening now. And both Saturn and Uranus are very much in the early degrees of Aries and Gemini, and we're in the process collectively of creating a whole new world. And each and every one of us has a role to play in this. I mean, that's the Leo Aquarius axis. The whole would not be whole without the sum of its parts. And if you're alive here, it's for a reason. If you're watching this message, it's for a reason. It's no coincidence, especially not at this time. So, and there's real magic in the air and serendipity. We're making those, important connections now, that because the universe is one and oneness, and this collective consciousness, it's the same consciousness that's alive in all of us, in all sentient beings. It's one consciousness. It's just our physical vessels are separate. And the ego, which is the shadow side of Leo, is what makes us believe that we are limited to this physical vessel of, or even my identity, like my name and my identity, and where I live and what I do in this world, and my family, where I come from. All of these things, these are identifications that are of the ego, not of the true self, which is that pure consciousness that's infinite and eternal and omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and lives through, experiences life through each and every one of us. So make no mistake, you have a role to play in this divine play. it's just about playing our parts as well as we can, and letting go of attachment to the fruits of our actions, but to play our part as well as we can again. So it's about us living our best lives and giving ourselves permission to be happy and making choices that make our heart happy, because then that joy, which is that pure Leo energy, can radiate out into the world, and with this full moon in Aquarius, really touch people's lives and inspire others to live their best lives. And again, this is not about the ego. So it's not about, oh, I did this, so you should be grateful for what I did. The sun just shines. So a truly happy person is a joy to be around. And we all know that. And someone who is miserable, of course, we all have our moods, and that's a whole separate conversation. And maybe that's something to factor in, right? We all have our good days and bad days. But for the most part, a happy person is a joy to be around. And this is about, and that happiness comes only from within. So on the 11th, as Mercury stations direct and Uranus sextiles Saturn, it's like the gates are opening to a whole new world for us. And we're all, entering this new chapter of our lives, and the world is changing, and there are new opportunities arising now. And there's a need to take a leap of faith, even, and reach for, you know, again, show up authentically and reach for our heart, follow our heart. And I say this specifically because Venus will conjunct Jupiter just after midnight on the 12th in New York. And that, again, is a conjunction of the two benefics. So it's an abundance of the good things. So at best, it can feel like a feast, but then think of a feast. We can only digest so much. So there will be that element of having to choose what we want. Maybe we can't have, there's many options and many ways to go about something, but we're going to have to, and that's why the alignment with our goals is important. And then we just have to make wise choices. And on another level, if at all you're experiencing any sense of lack or loss or sadness or, heavier emotions, then this is really a chance to, release them consciously and not let them weigh you down or, get stuck in that stagnant energy, but to process the emotions and let them go. I mean, this is that part of, life is not always a bed of roses and sunshine and rainbows. We have stormy weather, and it's about how we can be kind to ourselves and be compassionate with ourselves and with others having a rough day, and have that space, hold that space for another. And when it comes to ourselves as well, and with Venus and Jupiter, in case, if you're experiencing again any sense of lack or loss, there's a need for perspective and to keep the heart open and to trust that, this too shall pass and the sun will shine again. It's about us being able to keep our hearts open through a process of grieving, and to, in fact, that makes it all more important for us to count our blessings and to be grateful for the time that we have in on this planet with the people that we love, and to cherish people that we love, and our nurture our relationships that are important to us, which sometimes we can just, days can pass, days, I'm saying time can just pass by, and we forget, well, I don't even want to say that, but not forget, but it can be easy to get caught up in the flow of life and not reach out and nurture those connections that are actually important to us. So this could just be that reminder, to be grateful for everything, to count your blessings, and you'll see how much there is for you to be grateful for. And the universe, gratitude is one of the most powerful practices we can have at any given point, and especially at this time, because then we're opening the door for more abundance to come into our world. And that's just how it works. So, to sum it up, this full moon is magical, it is liberating. We are closing old cycles, and we are, this is a chance to unburden ourselves of the past and to come back to the present and who we are today and approach life in acceptance of, you know, accept life on life's terms. And then trust that what's right for you will come to you in time. Because again, there is that element of divine timing. It's just about us trusting our heart and not being attached to outcomes and how something plays out. And realizing that, ultimately everything external is transient. So if we can find our happiness within and stay rooted with it, our inner happiness, then the universe will just bring more of that to us in terms of our connections and life around us. So this is about us tuning into our own hearts, so then life can mirror an inner truth, and our external life can mirror that inner truth of our being. So, and of course, if you don't like what's surfacing now, it's about you recognizing that you have the power to create a new reality. It just means that we have to acknowledge the reality that's already been created in this material world so that we can take the necessary steps to create something new. So, and again, when it comes to love and relationships, more open-hearted you can be and let go of expectations of others, but just show up with an open heart. Then you're gonna, any situation that's been tense or there's been a sense of a blockage, you can disarm situations now and open the door to deeper connection, love and support and companionship and understanding, and have space for acceptance, which can actually strengthen your bonds rather than you worrying about, you know, losing something. So, and even when it comes to trust, it's about allowing space and time for building that trust with another, depending on what your situation is, of course. So, with Mercury stationing direct now in the coming days and all these aspects unfolding, a lot is shifting. So, just move slowly. And there are powerful revelations coming through that can really make our heart overflow with joy. Now, it's just a matter of us being open to receive and share the love we feel without letting our ego get in the way. So, and express ourselves more openly and from the heart. So, with that, I'll just stop here for now. I hope you found that useful. I know I did it in one take. I paused the video a few places. I will try to edit this if possible, but if not, I'm going to try and I just want to get this out to you. So, again, I hope you found this useful. And yeah, do take a look at astro.com, pull up your chart, see where this full moon is playing out, and apply what I've said. And of course, if you want a deeper reading, contact me for a consultation. I'll leave information below. I would love to work with you. And thank you for watching. I'm sending you love with the moon wherever you are. And I'll catch you next time. Do subscribe. All right. Bye for now. Namaste.